On April 4th, 2024, Internet Hippo tweeted, "It's good to return your shopping cart to its proper place at the store." Quote tweet, "Y'all really doing free labor for a corporation." Quote tweet of quote tweet, "It only makes a low-wage employee's life harder." Reply, "Some low-wage employees are racist, but okay." This is the Museum of Twitter, the show where we talk about the most important tweets in the history of Twitter.com. It's Subscriber Sunday, where my Patreon subscribers nominate and then vote on which tweet I cover. And this week, they selected a tweet that I honestly probably would not have covered if they didn't select it. It didn't get a crazy amount of retweets, its original version is gone, but honestly, it is an important tweet in how it sums up the way that the internet is, particularly Twitter is these days. Internet Hippo, whose account is no longer around, really summed up the median interaction on Twitter these days, specifically in corners of Twitter that purport to be progressive. So this also applies to Blue Sky. I think what it gets at really well is the gross way that people co-opt progressive or left-wing language in order to justify their own laziness. Because the first point is absolutely correct. It is good to return your shopping cart to its proper place at the store. But what happens is people who don't do that because they're lazy or thoughtless read that and they're like, wait, I'm a good person, and I don't do that, so therefore I must have a good reason for not doing it. So they backfill it in with some nonsense like, "Y'all really doing free labor for a corporation?" Which obviously reads like someone who spends all of their time thinking about theory and not thinking about actual people. Because yes, in theory you are doing work for a corporation, but you're actually doing work for a 16-year-old who is tired and doesn't want to have to grab your cart from a parking spot. Which is what the quote tweet of the quote tweet says. But unwilling to give up on the fact that it doesn't make you a bad person to leave your shopping cart in a parking spot, a reply says, "Some low-wage employees are racist, but okay." This is of course grasping at straws, but I think what it really demonstrates is the fact that, yeah, you always will eventually be able to twist yourself in a pretzel to come up with a reason why it's actually good to do a thing that's selfish. But at a certain point, if you're twisting yourself into this much of a pretzel, you probably should just bring the cart back. And the replies really demonstrate how you can go through like 1,000 rounds of this, only getting more and more ridiculous. Like Rads jokingly replies, "What if some racist low-wage employee is also going to medical school and needs that money to cure cancer?" Brad jokes, "Some of us are World War I veterans whose arms and legs were blown off by a landmine, not to mention losing the ability to see, hear, or speak. Your passing thought is the worst kind of ableism, is clearly directed at me personally." The Benevolent Sprung says, "Shopping carts are not biodegradable if you care." Obviously, there are real second and third order effects in this world, but I think a lot of people dishonestly use or frankly make up second and third order problems in order to justify their own thoughtlessness. We all want to conceive of ourselves as good people, right? But we're all human, and so we're not always going to be good people every moment of the day. And so rather than someone saying like, "You know what, I'm sorry, I should have brought my cart back. Sometimes I'm just in a rush, I'm not thinking, that's my bad." They have to concoct a crazy reality where like, no, I'm actually the good person. And these people are not the biggest problem facing society. But frankly, when it comes to fixing anything in society, I trust them as far as I can throw them. Because personally, if your progressive values are rooted in giving yourself excuses for being selfish, then how progressive are you really? I think I enjoyed a lot as a Deadpan Venture made a brain size meme about this. Or someone had already made this, and it's very similar, I'm not sure, but it goes, "Returning shopping cart to be nice. Y'all doing free labor for a corporation. I'm helping the employees. Leave carts so employees are outside view of bosses and have more time to goof off." Now that last one is an actually interesting proposition. But my only real experience with returning or not returning shopping carts is in Florida, and like, in Florida it's so hot that that's not something you really want to do to people. But I'm sure in other areas there are people who do enjoy wrangling carts because they can goof off, but you should probably return the cart just to be safe. Now, my favorite joke reply referenced another important tweet where James says, "Having to return the shopping cart was my own Afghanistan for 20 years, which I cover in episode 317, which you can find in my YT. It's both a good reference and it is what some of these people sound like. Obviously, there are exceptions, but I think that the lesson here is if there's something that on its face seems good, you should probably just do it and not try to justify to yourself why it's actually not good for you to do it. Like, if it only takes 2 extra seconds of effort, just do the good thing. And be very, very suspicious of people who try to convince you that it's not worth it to take 2 seconds to do the good thing. Follow me for a new tweet every day, and if you want to vote on Subscriber Sunday posts like these, please join my Patreon, patreon.com/Museum of Twitter, where you also get a weekly bonus episode called the Museum of Not Twitter.